An entitled Karen tries to steal my headphones and DVD player while I'm camping, claiming that her kid deserves it more so that they could stay entertained. But I simply wasn't taking that sitting down, so I got up and humiliated her in front of everybody at the campsite. Here's what happened. So I decided to go camping again for the first time this year because of spring break. And even though I only got the weekend to go, it was just enough to help me unwind, and I decided to go about this all by myself. So I had already spent one night at my campsite, and I was loving the fresh air, and fortunately the rain was minimal. That's honestly the only reason that I went. Otherwise, I'd have just stayed home, but I had an itch to scratch to get out and enjoy some mountain air. I was far from being alone as the spaces around me were full of tents, as well as trailers and RVs. Plenty of people caught the camping bug during spring break just like I did. I was just sitting relaxed in a folding lawn chair and watching Tailspin on my portable DVD player. Yeah, I know it's a cartoon, and it's an old one at that, but I have enjoyed it since I was a kid, and I used to watch some old tapes of it when I was younger with my cousin, and I've also owned the DVDs of the complete series for about 10 years now. So I had my headphones on because other campers were playing music, they were barbecuing, and they were doing other things. I was just chilling and letting myself mentally zone out, all with a refreshing beer in my hand. And it was right about then that I got a sudden hard tap on my shoulder that frankly really scared me. I turned around to see a roughly middle-aged woman in her over-tight purple yoga pants with her hands on her hips. She didn't have the Karen haircut, but she did have the bleach blonde hair and overly large bug-eye glasses. I know in this situation, a lot of people will reflexively say, "Can I help you?" But that's just giving an opening to these people to say whatever they want. So my first reaction is to just angrily say, "What? Can't you see I'm trying to relax by myself?" When I said that, that kind of set her back for a second. She didn't go away, so I just paused the episode I was on and grumpily asked her what she was bothering me about. She spoke up in a matter-of-fact way that sounded like she was trying to be in charge. I guess she was trying to activate mom mode on a stranger, but I think the unfriendly scowl on my face was enough to show that I'm not exactly friendly. So she just pointed at the portable DVD player and said that she wanted to borrow it and the headphones for her daughter. Now, to make it brief, I said no. And no is a complete sentence, because for one, I don't know her, and I don't know if she'll ever bring it back. And I certainly don't know if her kid would damage it in the process. Now, I do actually keep a backup smaller portable DVD player in the camper, but I wasn't gonna let this woman know that in the slightest. But that's when things escalated in a way that I honestly didn't expect, as this entitled Karen acted absolutely insane. After I said my complete sentence of "no, you can't have it," she certainly didn't take well to being told off, and so she then launched into a tirade about how I was a grown man watching cartoons, and how they only had one TV in their RV, and her daughter needs something to watch because her kids can't agree on what to watch, so she demands to have my DVD player. I coldly said that that was not happening, and she actually gave me a loud "why not?" So I pointed out to her that this really was not my problem, and she just crossed her arms and said that I was an adult, and I should be putting the kids first. So I said that would be the case if I had kids, but her kids are not my kids. I don't know them, and I'm in no way related to them, and therefore I have no obligation to them. So she rolled her eyes and then tried to offer me money for the headphones and DVD player. Admittedly, I didn't pay much for either of them, but I don't care. I wasn't interested in selling in the slightest. Plus, she only offered about $20 for both of them anyways. I just told her no and to kindly leave me alone to watch my movies in peace. Then I tried to just sit back down and resume the episode. Well, she didn't take that well either and proceeded to grab the DVD player right in front of me, as if I was just gonna let her walk off with it. I got up and stopped her, all while saying, "Ma'am, that is not yours." She proceeded to try and shove me over, try being the operative word. She clearly underestimated how heavy I am, since I don't look heavy in the slightest, even though I'm around 230 pounds. My body frame just kinda hides it well, and I've been in a few brawls in my life. I ended up grabbing her arms and shoving her back with little effort. She fell down into some wet grass and started yelling that I had attacked her while looking around for some kind of support. Now, I've read enough Karen stories to know where this one's going if I say nothing. So I yelled out as well that yeah, this lady attacked me out of nowhere and tried to push me over and steal my stuff. And at this point, there had already been a few people around us watching the whole altercation, and they had gone completely quiet just staring at us. So then I said to everybody, "Check it out. We've got a bona fide Karen here who tried to take my stuff for her precious little angel baby." Everybody clapped for her. more. And you know what? They did. They actually started clapping. The Karen looked completely humiliated and stormed off, screeching that I'm a jerk. At this point, I tried to resume watching the DVD as I was, but I felt uneasy that the Karen might come back. She snuck up on me rather easily before, and I didn't want to risk that again. So I packed up and went back into my camper to continue watching and drinking inside. I got plenty plastered that night, and I remember giggling like a moron as I watched another episode. I stayed at the campsite for one more night, and I didn't see the Karen again until I was leaving Sunday afternoon. I saw her standing by her garbage-looking RV with a large fountain beverage in one hand and a dog leash in the other. It was one of those yappy little fluffball dogs too. She glared at me as I drove past, and I just waved at her and said, "Bye, Karen," all out my window. She threw her drink at my truck, but none of it got through the window. I could hear her yelling at me, but couldn't really make out what that stupid Karen was saying. I'm not sure what goes on in the heads of these people, but I understand this could have gotten a lot worse, like that crazy lady sicking the local ranger on me or something like that. But I think the public humiliation was enough to make her back off. I can only wonder if the rest of the family is like that. And with that thought in mind, I'm really glad I didn't meet them. What an absolute psychopath. The fact that she tried to not only attack you, but also steal your belongings just to give it to her stupid kid is honestly incredibly insulting. I mean, it's almost like she was trying to get in trouble. And thank goodness people were watching and saw what happened. Because you know what? You're right. This absolutely could have gone a lot differently. And if you didn't have witnesses there, this entitled Karen very easily could have gotten you in trouble for something that you didn't do. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, linked down below in the description. I found out that my girlfriend of 4 years has been talking to other guys behind my back on a dating app. And I'm so upset, I seriously don't know what to do. So my partner and I have been together for coming up 4 years. For the longest time in our relationship, she's been quite a bubbly and happy person. And for the most part, our relationship has been pretty good. I started noticing the past couple of weeks that she has been acting distant, not being interested in me, and instigating arguments far more often than usual. And it's usually over minor things. On top of this, anytime she has been on her phone recently, she would go out of her way to sit as far away from me as possible and almost shield her action. And I'm presuming that she did this to stop me from seeing whatever she was doing. All this culminated in what happened tonight. So, with my girlfriend going to sleep earlier than me, as she usually does most nights, curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to snoop through her phone. Granted, I know this is an awful thing for me to do behind her back, but in the moment, I felt justified. And in fact, I've caught my girlfriend going through my phone while she thought I was asleep on more than one occasion, as well as accusing me of talking to other girls with absolutely no proof. And as it turned out, the first thing I see when I swipe down on her recently used apps is that she's using Hinge, a dating app. I honestly didn't know whether to feel shocked or vindicated in my suspicions. I still don't really know how to feel. Either way, it turns out she's been using the app for at least the past 2 to 3 weeks and has had conversations with upwards of 6 guys, most of which involve talking about planning dates or meeting up. So how on earth do I approach this situation? I'm very conflicted. I obviously just want to wake her up and scream at her, all that gaslighting and accusing me of cheating, and ultimately, she's the one talking to other guys. But I have so much invested in this relationship. We recently just put a deposit down for an apartment, and we also adopted a kitten together, which I have honestly just grown really attached to, and I really do love it over the past year. I don't know if I could handle breaking up and not being able to see my cat again. To add to this, she also talked about going to get married next year in Las Vegas, and she said this just last week. I'm just so confused why she would push so hard for that, especially now that I know she's been talking to other guys, which has been going on for at least the last few weeks. I mean, she's obviously been unhappy enough in our relationship to cheat, so why on earth would she suddenly want to get married? This is all so very confusing, and I seriously don't know what to do. I want to circle back to something the original poster said, and they said that they have so much invested in this relationship. And yeah, you're right, there is a lot that you've put into this that you want to not lose all of a sudden, like the cat or the apartment or stuff like that. But you know who hasn't been invested in this relationship? Yeah, that's right, that's your girlfriend. She has literally been going behind your back and cheating on you. She plans on meeting up with other guys and trying to go on dates with at least 6 other guys. Like, clearly she's been pretty busy. And it's also not surprising that she's trying to accuse you of cheating because she was probably desperate to find some kind of way of getting the guilt off of her conscience of her actively cheating cheating on you behind your back. And that in and of itself is not fair. It doesn't matter how much you've put into this relationship. You have obviously uncovered her true colors, and it is truly in your best interest to abandon the sunken cost fallacy and reevaluate everything you have to do with this lady. Because getting married to her in Las Vegas is not going to solve anything. And instead, it's just going to tie you down to somebody who clearly doesn't love you in the way that you love them. My boyfriend has just gotten a letter stating that he has to pay child support for a child from a relationship that clearly started right when we started dating. And I'm so hurt over this, and I seriously don't know what to do. So to start things out, my boyfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. We first started dating in October of 2021, and initially we were both hesitant to get into a relationship quickly, as he had fairly recently come out of a 6-year relationship. And from that previous relationship, he has a 2-year-old daughter. And on my end, I was overcoming my own mental health issues and lack of relationship experience. We took it slow and talked all day every day, and went on days out and dates constantly over the next few months, including birthdays, New Year's, and exchanging Christmas presents. We had yet to make it official over these months, but obviously feelings were there with the intentions to build a relationship as we overcame things that we were dealing with together. However, in mid-January 2022, before I went away for a 3-day trip, he cut back all communication, and we didn't see each other for over 2 weeks, with the excuse that he was dealing with personal issues and had COVID. I was extremely hurt and confused by the sudden change of behavior when things had been going so well, but he reached out while I was away and apologized, saying he's been struggling with stuff and had been confused about us, and had been worried that I might hook up with other men while he's on the trip, so that's why he withdrew. I reassured him that that wasn't something I would do, and that I was committed to seeing where things went with him and with us, and I would not do anything to jeopardize that. He reassured me of the same thing, stating that he was falling in love with me. After that, things were amazing. We continued to build a relationship, and then in February, after downloading a popular online forum app on his recommendation, I found posts and comments on his account detailing how in December he'd been ghosted by a Tinder date, and then in January asking for advice on taking someone from Tinder on a first date. I was devastated, as that time we'd spend together meant so much to me, and he would reassure me that he wasn't dating anyone else on Tinder. I confronted him about it, and after a few days of hour-long talks and essay messages of him explaining what happened and me questioning his responses, I believed a story that the post from December was related to a much earlier incident from before we'd met, and that the date in January didn't go ahead because he had COVID, and that he'd only arranged it because he was confused about where we stood and whether or not we should continue dating. Due to a complicated family history with cheating, which he knew about, I did take it very personally, and while we hadn't made it official yet then, everything we'd been doing felt like a relationship, and we had said that we would take it slow to build up to one. So though it technically wasn't cheating to me, it certainly felt like it. But I decided to not end things and take his word when he swore on his daughter's life that he hadn't been with anyone since we started dating. In the year after that incident, things had mostly been amazing. Our relationship was official, and we fell in love with each other and continued going on amazing dates and trips. In October, I finally met his daughter, which had been something we were both extremely anxious about, as I was hesitant to get into a relationship with someone who had kids, and he was extremely nervous about how we would get along. But things went great, and we have developed a close bond where she sees me as like family, and I really enjoy spending time with her. Overall, I was extremely happy. My boyfriend is a loving, caring partner who has helped me overcome my mental health issues and been very supportive. We talked of getting our own place soon and had ideas of what a family could look like together in the future. Well, fast forward to today, and after spending a lovely 2 days together with his daughter over the Easter holidays, he was called to his mom's house for urgent news, and I stayed behind to look after his daughter. When I returned, I could tell something serious had happened and assumed it was something to do with his mom, as I knew she had doctor's appointments that day. I went to console him, but he told me to listen first, which is when he told me that a letter had been delivered for him at the house, and it was from CMS, stating that he has been named as the father to a child born in October of 2022, and he now needs to start paying child support. We were both shaking, and he told me he had no idea about the child, which is about 6 months old, or that the mother was pregnant, and that this is the first he's ever heard of it. I was in shock, but couldn't process my emotions properly, as his daughter was there, and I didn't want her to pick up that something bad had happened and that we were upset. After reverse checking the birth date in a conception calendar, I discovered the child would have been conceived during the time in January that he cut contact, which was 4 months into us dating. I questioned him about what had happened, and he admitted that he had spent some quality time with a friend of a friend during a night when he got inebriated, but also stated that he hadn't spoken to her since and had no idea that she had a baby, let alone that it could be his. He is going to do a paternity test, and he says the dates do line up, and remembering the type of person that she wasn't likely to be one to spend some quality time with other guys, so he's fairly certain the DNA test will be a match. He says he wants nothing to do with the mother or the child if it is his, and that he will just pay the second amount of child support and try and move on with his life, as he took the mother not telling him or reaching out as a sign that she doesn't want him involved. But I told him I don't think it will be that easy, and he has to deal with the consequences. He has asked me to support him regardless of the result, and to try and move past this together, and that he'll respect my decision and understand if I choose to leave if this test says that he's the father. I'm just heartbroken and so confused. I truly love him, and he's my first proper love, and I had just begun to really picture a life together with him. I love him and his daughter, and it will break my heart if I choose to leave. I just don't know what to do. I still love him, and my feelings haven't changed in an instant. I just don't know what my best option is. I have so many questions. I mean, did he really know she was pregnant and that the child could be his? Did he only just then find out the other day that the letter came through? Or did he know earlier and only told me when someone else found out? Can I trust what he's telling me when he's lied to me before? Can I move past my hurt and be supportive as he deals with this situation? And also, what would a future be like with someone paying child support for children from 2 different mothers? And do I even want that for myself? What should I do? I think it's pretty clear that your boyfriend has not been completely honest with you. He went behind your back once, so I don't blame you for not being totally comfortable with what he's saying, as well as for not completely believing him, because he's proven to be untrustworthy, and it's really unfortunate. You obviously see some kind of future with this guy, and you want to try to make this work, but his actions and his secrets really are starting to come to light, and hopefully you remember that when you make your choice moving forward. My boyfriend's mother is always picking on me and blaming me for everything that he does, and I'm so sick of this, and I seriously don't know what to do. So my boyfriend's mother makes fun of me, my hair, and pretty much everything else about me, and I'm just wondering if I should even have a place in this family. I'm wondering if it's worth getting upset over this. For some context, my boyfriend and I have been dating for years now, and his mother has always been a general issue in our relationship. She's the type of person that cannot let go of her son. He just moved out, and she blamed me for him moving out and said that I should have stopped him. Or if he doesn't dress fancy, that's my fault too, and it's my fault for not forcing him to buy himself luxury clothing. If he's inside all day, guess what? That's my fault for not forcing him outdoors. Or on the opposite end of this, if he is outside too much, it's my fault for not forcing him indoors. If he's not eating enough breakfast, it's all my fault as well. My boyfriend is also a 27-year-old man. He's gonna do what he wants, and I'm not his caretaker. Apparently though, I'm also too plain and simple. Every time we all go out, she tells me my hair looks bad, my makeup isn't enough, my dress is plain, and I'm not doing enough. Basically, no matter what, she's always telling me I'm not enough. I stand up for myself, but she just keeps going and going. But here's the thing, my boyfriend's sister joins his mom in this behavior. I got called an embarrassment for not having him married yet. When they have an issue with my boyfriend, instead of going to him, they just go to me and they blame me for it. They are very judgmental in general, and they are not happy people. They literally act like the modesty police. I tell my boyfriend how I feel, but all I get is him saying, "Yeah, that sucks, but that's just how they are." I am now starting to wonder if this could escalate and if it's worth potentially ending the relationship over. Do I want to have kids and family ties with someone who is like this, as well as being so dismissive towards my feelings? Should I wait to see how the dynamics changes now that he has moved out first? I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or if I'm just not thinking this through enough, but it's been about 4 years and I don't see it getting any better. This is apparently just who they are, and apparently these people just can't change. What should I do? Your boyfriend is being an absolute jerk. The fact that he's not coming to your defense and standing up to his mother as well as his sister and telling them, "Hey, back off. Stop blaming my girlfriend for everything and stop treating her so poorly," on top of all the other things that they're saying, is in and of itself incredibly toxic and dismissive. I really do not believe that people can just act like this and not change. Because clearly you expressing your discomfort with them treating you horribly is doing nothing. They still mock and make fun of you and say that you're not good enough, and they treat you like garbage. And what is your boyfriend doing to try and mitigate this? Oh, he's just excusing their behavior. That is inappropriate and that does not help the situation. I know if I was in your shoes, there's no way I would keep that relationship going. Because if he doesn't respect me now enough to say something about this, then you can bet there's no way he's going to respect you later on in the relationship. But with whatever you decide to do, hopefully it comes from a place of your personal comfort. Because I agree with you. I don't think these people are going to change anytime soon, regardless of if your boyfriend moved out or if you two decide to get married one day. They are still going to be awful people towards you, and you will then be stuck with these people for the long term. And that, in my opinion, sounds like an absolute nightmare. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out in the description below and subscribe.